It really can be overwhelming when you get your pay slip at the end of the month if you're fully employed in the UK, and you get to see loads of deductions, loads of numbers flying around your pay slip. And I've spoken to quite a number of people, and people just say, I don't get bothered about what is written on the pay slip. I just go straight to my net pay to see how much I'll be getting. However, it's important for you to have good understanding of the numbers on your pay slip so you're sure you're not paying more tax than you should be paying. Now, there are lots of deduction on your pay slip, starting from your income tax, your national insurance tax, your pension. If you've got student loan, you also get your student loan deducted from your monthly earning. So I'm going to be explaining all of these things, talking about the different tax bands, the different tax codes, and also one of the major questions I've been asked basically is, if you're an international student in the UK and you're making money outside the UK, do you need to pay tax? And I'm going to be explaining that in this video with evidence from the gov.uk website. That's what I'm actually going to be explaining in this video. And that question I also get asked is, do I need to pay pension? Do I opt out from my pension? What are the pros and cons of opting out from paying pension in the UK? I'll also be sharing with you guys full details on this in this video. And of course, everything I'm going to be sharing with you are going to be information from the government website. So if this sounds like something you'd like to know, if you're still struggling with understanding your tax code, or struggling with understanding what is on your pay slip, then you sure do want to watch this video till the end. And if you're coming across my channel for the first time, please do also hit the subscribe button and join the amazing growing family. My returning subscribers, you guys are amazing. Thank you for being here. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Employed in the UK, now this is what your pay slip is going to look like. You're going to see your gross pay, the deduction taken out of your gross pay, and eventually you see how much you're paid, which is a net pay, basically. And each of these deduction ranges from your income tax, your NI, your pension. If you've got student loan, you also get that deducted from your monthly income. And all of this tax basically goes to HMRC. And I actually never knew the meaning of HMRC. I mean the full meaning. I never knew it was an acronym when I first came into the UK. And a couple of months down the line, I got to know it's actually Majesty's Revenue and Customs, and now we have a king, so it's His Majesty Revenue and Customs. I never knew. So for those who also don't know, that's the full meaning of HMRC. And every of the funds we pay to the HMRC as tax goes into the government pot, and basically the whole idea is for them to have enough money to be able to meet up with the social amenities and so many other things, housing, healthcare, and just to mention a few. Now, but it's important for you to understand if you're actually being taxed more than you should. When I started working, I discovered that I was actually paying more tax than my fellow colleague who were on the same pay, and at the end of the month they get paid more money than I was getting paid. And that was when I actually got curious to know what exactly is happening with the whole tax system. Now, for any amount taken as your tax is dependent on what is called your tax code. And your tax code basically is just a code that shows what your employment status is like, if that makes sense. If you've got more than one job, if you don't, if you've got, 2 or 3 jobs. Now, ideally, the tax code for a lot of people is usually 12,570L. Now, this is tax code currently used for most people who have one job or pension. Yeah, so it means that if you have this tax code 1257L, which is general, even for me as at the moment, my tax code is not 1257L. It's something very ridiculous. But anyway, that's another story for another day. Now, so if your tax code is 1257L, it means that you've got a personal allowance of 12,570. As you can see on the screen, you're not going to be taxed for the first 12,570 you made in that particular financial year. However, if your pay goes between 12,571 to 50,270, then you get paid, you get taxed 20% of that extra earning more than the 12,570. And if your pay is between 50,271 to 125,140, then you get taxed 40% of that particular earning. And if you earn over 125,140, you get taxed 45%. Now, it's very important for you to understand the true representation of this. Now, the fact that you are earning, let's for instance, you're earning £20,000, it doesn't mean that you're going to be taxed 20,000 20% of the 20,000, and they're going to take away your personal allowance, which is 12,570 from the 20k. Then the balance of that amount, which should be roughly about 7,430. Now the 20% will be on that 7,430, not the entire 20,000, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's really all about the tax band. So you need to know what tax band you have, of course, depending on your annual earning, which is really important. So if your tax code is, let's say for instance, the tax code is 880L, it means that your personal allowance is £8,800. It means that for someone that has 12,570L, it means that they get more personal allowance than you do because your tax code is 880L. So it's important. So that kind of a situation, if you're on 880L, you get taxed more than someone on the 12,570L. So yeah, you just need to get that clarification. So what I did when I saw that I was paying more tax was I had to call HMRC and let them know, see, why am I getting paid more? And apparently the reason was because I took up a second job at some point, and the second job actually affected my tax code at that moment, and I took up the job. I never actually worked with them, so I had to inform them that, oh, I've gotten the P45. For those who don't know, the P45 is a document you get when you stop working with an employer. So I had to send them the P45 to say, oh, see, I'm no longer working with this employer. And I think 2 or 3 weeks after that, my tax code was changed back to 12,570, and I started paying the normal tax that I should have been paying in the first place. So that's that about the tax code basically. And the other tax code called the emergency tax code. So if your tax code has W1 or M1 or X at the end, it means that that's an emergency tax code, and you're definitely paying more tax than you should. And if your code has K at the beginning, it means that you have income that is not being taxed anyway, and it's worth more than your tax-free allowance. So yeah, just check out your tax code and make sure that if you have any question on that, you can please state that in the comments section. Now, another question I get being asked is, if you're currently in the UK and you decide to opt out for pension, what is the implication? My opinion in that regard basically is, if you're not planning to stay in the UK long term, then there's no point paying pension. Just opt out if you're not 100% sure. So that was what I did when I first came into the UK as a student. I wasn't sure what how things are actually going to turn out for me, if I'm going to get sponsorship to stay back in the UK. So my first 2 years in the UK, I didn't pay a single dime as pension. I never did, and I actually wish I did really at that particular time, because I was actually losing out in so many things I never knew, which I'm going to share with you guys in this video. Now, the way the pension scheme works is that you get to pay a particular percentage, and while your employer also pay a particular percentage on your pension account. And if you decide to opt out, you don't get a percentage from your employer, if that makes sense. So let me give you an example. Now, if you're putting, let's say, £40 from your earning into your pension, your employer puts £30 and you get a £10 tax relief. So it means a total of £80 is being put into your pension. Now, what you're paying is £30, but what you're getting in your pension account is actually £80. But if you choose to opt out and you don't pay that £40, you also don't get the other additional £40 that gets into your pension account. So that's really an example. So you're actually losing or missing out in building your pension account if you choose not to, if you choose to opt out of the whole pension scheme. And the money you're supposed to get from your employer and your employer's contribution and the government's contribution, you're going to lose or miss out of it. So yeah, I think if you're going to stay in the UK long term, it's really a good thing that you should put into consideration. Now, another thing is another deduction aside from the tax and the pension is your NI. Now, before the 6th of January 2024, the percentage contribution for NI is usually 12% of your earning, and it's been reduced now thanks to the current government here in the UK. It's been reduced to 10%. So we used to pay 12% as NI contribution. Now it's now 10%. So because I discovered that in my January salary there was a little bit jump on my net pay, and that was because my NI was reduced from what it used to be, which is 10% of my earning, down to so it used to be 12%, now 10%. So yeah, that's that about the pension, the national insurance, and also the tax. Now, another major question I get asked is, if you're an international student in the UK and you're making money outside the UK, do you need to pay tax? Now, I'm going to read what we have on gov.uk and probably explain further if need be. Now, listen to what is on gov.uk. If you come to study in the UK, foreign students usually do not pay tax on foreign incomes or gains, as long as they are used for course fees or living costs like food, rent, bills, study material. So if you're making money outside the UK and you're an international student, and every of the income you're making is actually to pay up your tuition fee or to meet up with your living expenses, then according to gov.uk, you don't have to pay tax on that amount. Now, HMRC may ask you to account for your living cost if they are more than £15,000 in a tax year, excluding cost fee. The tax year is from 6th of April to 5th of April the following year. So of course, if your living expense is more than 15k, that's over £1,200 per month. So yeah, you might actually need to give account of your living cost basically, but you will need to pay tax even if you're a student making money outside the UK, and you need to pay tax on a foreign income in the normal way if you are from a country with a double taxation agreement for students. You can check that online to see which country actually meets this category. Have other income that you do not bring into the UK. Bring it to the UK and spend it on things other than living cost and cost fee, or plan to stay in the UK as your permanent home. So if you're under any of this category, then you have to pay tax. However, if you're just here to study and you're making money outside the UK to meet up with your financial obligations like your cost fee or your living expenses, you don't need to pay tax based on the information on gov.uk. So guys, if you are struggling with, or you still don't understand how your tax code is working, how you think you're actually paying more, and you need further clarification, please state in the comment section. And if you're coming across this channel for the first time, or you find this video insightful, click on the like button and also hit the subscribe button to join the amazing growing family. And for my returning subscribers, you guys are amazing. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate you guys. So this will be the end of this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you.